In April 2022, India proposed a new goal for the electronics manufacturing industry. That is, by 2026, India will become an electronics manufacturing center with a contract value of $300 billion. In just 1 year, India's electronics manufacturing industry has doubled and entered an era of rapid development. Moreover, in addition to India, Vietnam's manufacturing industry has gradually risen in recent years. The rise of India and Vietnam's manufacturing industry will inevitably have an impact on China, the big manufacturing country. Take the Brazilian market, which Chinese companies are very optimistic about, as an example. In recent years, Indian electronic products and Vietnamese light industry have been very popular in Brazil, which have caused a certain impact on Chinese products. In the international community, there are also endless voices about made in India and Vietnam instead of made in China. In addition, Sino-US relations have deteriorated, and Sino-US trade frictions have continued to escalate. So, under the pressure of rising India and Vietnam, and the continuous sanction of the United States, how has China's manufacturing industry been affected, and how should China deal with these challenges? Well, that and more is exactly what we are going to talk about. Let's get started. As we all know, the rise of China has been accompanied by the rapid development of China's manufacturing industry in the past few decades. In 1990, China's manufacturing industry accounted for less than 3% of the world's total, but by 2018, this figure had exceeded 30%, ranking first in the world for many consecutive years. However, in recent China, factors such as the disappearance of the demographic dividend, the increase in real estate costs, and the rise in the RMB exchange rate have led to a slowdown in the development momentum of China's manufacturing industry. At the same time, some Southeast Asian countries have begun to rely on the demographic dividend to participate in the international division of labor, among which India and Vietnam have developed better. Both governments attach great importance to the development of manufacturing industry. The Vietnamese government has not only stepped up efforts to introduce foreign businessmen, but also tilted its development strategy towards the manufacturing industry. The Indian government even proposed the Made in India plan, and introduced a series of policies to protect its manufacturing industry. With the support of policies, the manufacturing industries of both countries have achieved tremendous development. In Vietnam, the added value of the manufacturing industry has increased from less than $5 billion in 1998 to $35 billion in 2017, and the annual growth rate has basically remained above 10%. With the injection of foreign capital, Vietnam's industrial structure has undergone tremendous changes. The main force involved in international trade is not only the original textile products represented by clothing and shoes, but also electronic products represented by telephones and computers. India, which was promoted to the 8th largest source of goods imports to the United States last year, has become the top 5 suppliers of Christmas decorations and T-shirts to the United States. More importantly, the extent to which India's manufacturing industry attracts foreign investment is also growing. In January 2023, India's manufacturing PMI index has reached 55.4%. Which is in a relatively high position among major countries in the world. Last year, India also relied on the support of the United States, South Korea, Japan, and other countries to enable the electronics manufacturing industry to embark on a road of rapid development. In addition, the current booming development trend in Southeast Asia has also brought about a new round of industrial transfer. Most labor-intensive industries, including China, have begun to shift to India and Vietnam. So, could it be that Vietnam and India are really going to replace China? In fact, it seems that the manufacturing industry in India and Vietnam is developing rapidly, but there is still a certain gap to replace China. In the global value chain, China's manufacturing industry and its various subsectors are currently in the middle and upper reaches of the chain, and it has certain advantages in terms of competitiveness. Although India's labor-intensive and capital-intensive industries are in the middle and upper reaches of the global value chain, its high-tech industries as a whole are still in the middle and lower reaches. Vietnam's manufacturing industry is basically in the downstream link of the global value chain, and the competitiveness of subsectors is relatively weak. The reason for this is that there is a big gap between these two countries and China in many aspects. India and Vietnam are far behind China in terms of infrastructure construction and residents' needs, and the human resource structure of the two countries is also significantly different from China. India's labor productivity is only 48% of that of Chinese workers, and the per capita education level of Vietnamese workers is even greater than that of Chinese workers, especially in terms of the number of high-end technical talents, the proportion of R&D personnel in China and the number of patent applications per capita are much higher than those in India and Vietnam. Most importantly, China's manufacturing industry chain is quite complete. Therefore, although the two countries have had a certain impact on China's manufacturing industry, it will take a long time to replace China's manufacturing industry status. However, China is also facing unprecedented challenges. In short, China is going through the most painful transition period. The current demographic dividend in China is no longer the biggest advantage. So, what for China to do next? In my opinion, continuous improvement of labor productivity is the fundamental way to maintain the competitiveness of China's manufacturing industry. On the one hand, China can increase investment in rural education and efficient scientific research institutions, and actively cultivate innovative talents. On the other hand, increase the skills training for enterprise employees, and establish a mechanism for the cultivation and rational use of manufacturing talents. Finally, realize the transformation from demographic dividend to talent dividend. In addition, it would be better for China continue to improve infrastructure construction. China's rapid development is inseparable from China's strong infrastructure construction, but the infrastructure in China's backward areas is still imperfect, and this is also a link that needs to be strengthened. Moreover, China's traditional manufacturing industry is still facing a major problem, which is the challenge from big data and artificial intelligence. But rather than calling it a challenge, I would like call it an opportunity. This is a good opportunity to promote the development of high-end manufacturing, optimize the export structure, accelerate industrial upgrading, and improve international competitiveness. In addition, compared with Vietnam and India, China also has capital and technological advantages. China can make full use of the accumulation of capital and technology to enhance the ability of independent R&D and innovation. The ultimate goal of China's manufacturing industry is to move from the low end of the global value chain to the high-end field. However, with the deterioration of Sino-US relations, the development of China's high-end manufacturing industry has been suppressed by the United States. In the logic of the United States international exchanges, there is a 60% law, that is, when a country's economic scale reaches 60% of that of the United States, and it still maintains a strong growth momentum, then the United States will definitely regard it as an opponent and contain its growth. It went for Japan back then, and as a result, it encountered the lost 20 years. Therefore, as long as China remains the world's second largest economy, the United States will regard China as its biggest challenger. Coupled with the international financial crisis in 2008, the United States could not avoid it and suffered a major blow. Because of its long-term dependence on finance, the manufacturing industry has been seriously outflowed, and the vitality of the United States has been severely damaged, so it has to restart the road to reindustrialization. Later, due to the impact of the epidemic, the unemployment rate in the United States remained high, which put a lot of pressure on the US government. Under the influence of various factors, the US government has to target China. After the US government issued a trade ban on Huawei, the trade friction between China and the US escalated into a trade war. Because China's manufacturing industry is currently moving closer to the upstream position of high-tech added value, the US sanctions against China have also shifted to high-tech fields. The United States mainly attacks the development and export of China's high-tech industries, and adopts measures of technical barriers to restrict China's development. Because China still relies on imports for some components in the high-tech manufacturing sector, and the United States is China's main supplier of core technology components. In order to curb China's development, the United States restricts the export of key components to China. In August 2018, the US listed 44 Chinese companies, including some high-tech research institutions, on the entity list for export control on the grounds of national security and diplomatic interests, hoping to achieve some high-tech blockades against China. Under the attack of the United States, the cost of China's export commodities has risen sharply, causing difficulties in business operations and slowing down economic development. In addition, the tax cut law introduced by the United States has also led to a decrease in the investment of foreign companies in China, since we have discussed China's response to pressure from the rise of India and Vietnam. So, what do you think China should do in the face of strong sanctions from the United States? Please put your insightful opinions in the comment area. See you.